What up, YouTube? Let's here. Thanks for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate it. We're not really going to do too much with the knives today. I just want to upload a video just to talk to you guys a little bit. Maybe answer some questions before they get asked, and maybe address some issues before they become a problem. I'm going to start off with a little bit of my background. When I was younger, um, just starting out in life, I graduated from high school, went straight into the Army. I was there for about 3 years before I got a medical discharge, and then I bounced from one job to another uh, for about a year until I decided to go back to school and become a medical assistant. After I graduated from that program, I started working at a local hospital as a nurse's aide. And then after a couple of years that, I went to school to become an LPN. That was a year-long program. I went to school full-time for a year, and I worked full-time during that year as well. After I graduated, I worked as an LPN for about 5 or 6 years, and then I went back to school again, worked full-time, went to school full-time for 2 years, and became a registered nurse. I think I had 5 weekends off in the entire 2 year span of time, which, it is what it is. It sucked, but it got me where I needed to, where I wanted to be. Um, and what's the reason that I'm telling you this? I'm guessing that you want to know. Yeah. So I don't mind hard work at all. Um, I don't mind doing things that are uncomfortable or things that just flat out suck, just to to get my family and I to where we want to be in our lives. So my wife was watching one of my videos the other day, and she brought to my attention something. When I started out in the knife community, when I started out collecting knives, I think I had 3 or 4 knives, and they were all Civivis, and I believe I had one Kubi. And I saw I got a pamphlet with a Kubi, and I can't remember which knife it was, but it was advertising another knife, and I looked up on YouTube just to see a review of that knife so that I could, just learn some stuff about it. And I found a couple of YouTube reviewers that I really, really enjoyed watching. Seemed like my personality had a lot in common with theirs, and I just really enjoyed their content. So they were, they had a really, really big influence on me, not just with the knives that I looked at, but as well, kind of getting the idea in my head to start doing my own stuff on YouTube. So as my wife was watching one of my videos, she noticed that my style of you know review, or my style of creating the videos, some of the stuff that I said, some of the stuff that I did, had a lot in common with one of the YouTube creators that I was influenced by. So I was concerned that once people start uploading, or I'm sorry, once people start watching my videos, they might um, think that I'm trying to, copy somebody else's style, or just try to act like, or try to be somebody that I'm not. And this is definitely not that. I don't want anybody to feel that way. So I wanted to just put that out there. When I'm doing my videos, I have to just be myself. Obviously, you can't force uh, a different personality from what you normally have, and have it sound and look natural. So you guys will probably notice throughout my videos that I've already done, if there's a lot of pauses, I may be stumbling over my words a little bit. A lot of that is just because I'm choosing my words very, very carefully, so that I don't, consistently sound like I'm trying to be somebody else. Because I don't want people to feel that way. I feel like it's gonna, be a detriment to my channel, and I don't want that to happen. One of the biggest things that I can ask you guys for, if you're watching the videos and you notice that that's happening a lot, or I've already said this a bunch of times, if there's anything that you guys think that I can do, or anything like that to change and make the channel better and more entertaining, I guess just less boring altogether, please, don't hesitate to send me those comments and to send me those messages. If somebody is sending me something that's constructive criticism, or even just something that's like, hey, this is really stupid, that's not going to bother me at all. I will not have my feelings hurt by negative comments, or especially not constructive criticism, because that's not what those things are for. I know that there are certain people out there who intentionally set out to hurt people's feelings and just be, I guess, just all around, I don't know, see you next Tuesday. You know what that means? Fantastic. If not, go ahead and Google it, or don't Google it. Never mind. But if that's the kind of person you want to be, that's fantastic. Good luck. It's not gonna. I have very thick skin, so that is probably not going to bother me, no matter what you say. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today, you'll notice in the previous videos that I've done, some of my knives have pocket clips, but most of them do not. And the reason for that, there's a few reasons, I guess. Mostly aesthetic preference, and just I like the way knives look and feel. They look and feel cleaner to me without the pocket clips, for the most part. There's a lot of pocket clips that I'm not really a huge fan of. I don't mind, or I do like milled titanium pocket clips, but something like this, I don't know, it doesn't add anything to the knife for me, and it doesn't take anything away if you take it off, so I just prefer to take that sort of thing off. So if you see a knife of mine that does have a pocket clip on it, there's a few reasons for that. This guy right here specifically, if you take the pocket clip off of here, there's no way to screw the screw back in. So if you don't have the pocket clip on this knife, then you can't properly put the back of the knife together. So obviously we have to keep this one on here. Another reason that I will leave a pocket clip on is because it's just a general aesthetic part of the knife. Like my Hinderer XM18, I left the pocket clip on that guy just because it's an aesthetic part of the knife. It's something that I'm gonna leave that alone. Same thing with my 229s, the skull clips. I really enjoy those, so I'm gonna leave those guys on there. Another reason is excuse me. Whenever I go to the grocery store, I try to bring at least 2 knives with me at all times, but sometimes I forget. So if I'm going to the grocery store and I've got my my Banshee on me, that doesn't bother me. This is a relatively inexpensive knife. I think it was like $60 or $70, and it's an awesome knife, but it's not something that I can't replace. So I don't have any problem with that. If I go to the store, somebody says, hey, can I borrow your knife real quick? I say, yeah, it's no problem. And I can throw it off to them and they can use it and give it back and everybody will be happy. However, if the only knife that I have on me is my Axon, this is an expensive knife. I think it was $360. I don't think that anybody's going to do anything to really break the knife to make it unusable. But, if they drop it, they could put a big gash on the outside of the scales. If it's open, they could ruin the edge, and then I have to try to work on fixing it, which I don't know that I'd be able to do that. So this isn't the knife that I'm just going to hand off to anybody. So if I have the pocket clip hanging out of my pocket and somebody says, hey, you got a knife that I can borrow? And I say no, and they can see the pocket clip in my pocket, then I kind of look like, an a-hole, and like a snob. So I'm not going to let you use my very expensive pocket knife. So yeah, I don't want to do that. So that's another reason that I don't have pocket clips on the vast majority of my knives. I guess another thing that I wanted to talk about is, I'm gearing this channel mostly towards newer people coming into the community, novices, people that haven't been in the community for very long. It can be extremely confusing. It can be extremely frustrating. It can also be extremely fun, obviously, and that's why people do it. I don't want to give off the wrong impression here. You know, I have a lot of knives. If you look through the videos that I've done so far, I think I've had at least 15 or 20 knives on each of my uploads, and you guys will not have seen the same knife twice or more than once, with a few exceptions. I think 3 or 4 knives I've had in a couple of different videos. You've seen this one a couple of times, this one, this one. But anyway, this is going to be beneficial for me because this way I can do a lot of videos with just using my own knives, especially if I only use, you know, one knife at a time for an upload. I should be able to put out quite a bit of content before I have to try to start getting new knives to make new videos. I don't want anybody out there thinking, you know, when you're coming into the knife community that you have to get, you know, 60, 70, 80, 100 knives in order to be, you know, a knife collector, a knife enthusiast, or anything like that. It doesn't matter how many knives you have. It doesn't matter what brands your knives are. It doesn't even really matter, you know, what you do with them, or how, I mean, you should take care of them, but if you only have a few knives, that's not a big deal. That doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I try to tell everybody coming into the knife community, not that I've spoken to a lot of them, but I think newer people coming into the knife community should, the first thing is just keep an open mind. Try to expose yourself to as much stuff as possible. That doesn't mean that you have to buy as much stuff as possible, but sometimes people will get fixated on one brand or one style of knife or something like that. I think if you try to get your hands on as much stuff as you can, it's a lot more beneficial to people, and it makes the hobby a lot more fun. For instance, I've already told you this, like the Spydercos. I hated Spydercos when I first started collecting knives. I wouldn't even look at them. If I hadn't had a friend who had one and encouraged me over and over and over again to buy one, I may or may not even still have any. And now I own more Spydercos than I own anything else. And that's because, you know, I took something that I didn't have any interest in whatsoever, and I took a chance and I bought one. Unfortunately, I don't really, the way my life is constructed, I don't have a lot of chances to get to like blade shows and stuff like that, and I don't know a lot of guys that own knives, so I can't really get a lot of exposure to knives that I don't have that way either. So sometimes it's tough. But another thing, when I started out in the knife community, I didn't have any intention whatsoever of buying knives that were more than $60 or $80. It just so happened in my case that, you know, my preferences and my neurosis led me to start checking out knives that were more expensive, more exotic materials, you know, makers that kind of only manufacture knives that are very, very expensive. When I started out collecting, I think I was buying 3 or 4 knives a week. But as my interests became more and more expensive, my wife kind of said, you got to dial it down a notch. So I ended up only being able to buy, you know, 1 or 2 knives a month sometimes. But again, there's nothing wrong with that either. Just, you know, as I said, when you're getting into the knife community, take it slow, keep an open mind, make sure that you're looking at things that you don't, you know, that you necessarily aren't interested in, because if you're not paying attention, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of knives out there being made by, you know, thousands, if not tens of thousands of different makers. You're going to miss out on something that you might have enjoyed quite a bit. So, you know, you want to try to avoid that as much as possible as well. What else is there that I can tell you guys? I think that's it for now. I don't know if this was a super long video or not, but thank you for spending your time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you guys have any comments or questions, please just send them on over. Uh, if you enjoy the videos, please like and subscribe, and pass along the word so I can try to grow my channel a little bit. I'd really appreciate that. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.